War, eh? A look at the absurdity of a US-Canada war? The US and Canada at war? Come on, that's like watching a panda fight a moose. It's funny to think about, but also kind of sad. Who would win? Probably the squirrels, honestly. They're ruthless. Look, the US and Canada share the world's longest undefended border. Undefended! That's how much they trust each other. It's more likely you'd see Canadians building a wall to keep American healthcare out. But seriously, folks, while the idea of these two goofing off with tanks seems ridiculous, there are some real tensions bubbling under the surface. Let's dive in, shall we? The US and Canada, they're like siblings. They share a continent, a language, mostly, and a love for complaining about the weather. But like any siblings, they have their squabbles. Canada's like the younger sibling, always trying to prove itself. America's the older one, sometimes oblivious, sometimes overbearing, and they're constantly borrowing stuff from each other, hockey players, actors, maple syrup. But beneath the friendly banter lies a complex relationship. Canada relies heavily on the US for trade, but it also wants to forge its own path. America, meanwhile, needs Canada's resources and cooperation, but sometimes takes its northern neighbor for granted. Awkward family dinner, anyone? So, what gets these two in a twist? Trade, for one. Remember that time Canada got all passive-aggressive about milk? Or when the US slapped tariffs on Canadian lumber? Yeah, good times. Then, there's the border. It's long, it's complicated, and it has more loopholes than a Swiss cheese factory. Fishing rights, anyone? How about those pesky maritime boundaries? It's enough to make you want to build a wall. Oh wait, someone already tried that. These disagreements might seem small, but they can escalate quickly. One minute you're arguing about softwood lumber, the next minute you're having a diplomatic standoff over a rogue moose crossing the border. You laugh, but it happened, probably. So, could we see tanks rolling across the 49th parallel? Probably not. Both countries know that war would be disastrous. Plus, have you seen the weather up there? Nobody wants to fight in that. But tensions are real, and they're not going away anytime soon. As the world gets more complicated, so too will the relationship between these two neighbors. They'll need to find ways to cooperate, compromise, and maybe even share some poutine now and then. So, no, war isn't likely. But don't be surprised if you see Canada passive-aggressively changing the channel on the US during the next Olympic hockey final. Because that, my friends, is how real wars are fought, with television remotes and strongly worded letters.